Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Life Conversations with a Twist. I'm really excited to have Teresa on. We just met, which I feel like is most of my guest stories and how we've been connected. But we are in a podcast network, and we always are looking for speakers, wanting to be speakers. And so, thank you for reaching out. I think your topic is definitely going to resonate with my listeners and myself, especially at this time of life where I'm sitting with children. So welcome. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are, where you live, and a little bit of backstory.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And really, the backstory to how I got to this point came from a school shooting in 2018. And just so everybody knows, I did not know anyone in at that school, but it just hit me for God just said, we can do better, do something. I'm like, okay. So what do you do? So, I sat down, grieving with these people and sympathizing. I was just thinking that you can do something.
Mhm.
You don't have, they were big at trying to change laws and change school policy, but it takes forever. You know how it takes forever, but how you treat each other, you can do now.
Mhm.
And that's how this all started, just getting kids to go sit with that kid that's sitting alone at lunch. You got the new kid, reach out to them, show them the rope, show them around. Or the shy kid that just, is socially a little socially awkward, so to speak. Say, hey, how you doing? It doesn't take much time, doesn't cost anything. So that's how I started with the kids, getting how are you treating each other?
Mhm.
From there, COVID hit. And, where did we all end up? We ended up in front of the computer.
Mhm.
And I was reading social media and I was appalled at how mean, just cruel adults were being to each other.
Ah.
And I thought, so I asked, I have my core great nieces and nephews who range anywhere from like 6 to 15 at this point. And I said, do parents post? Oh yeah, all the time. We don't want them posting about us. So we make sure they're not doing that. But at the same, I said, do you read them? He goes, yeah, they go, yeah. And I said, so I got to thinking, if they're reading them and they're seeing mom and dad are posting this, guess what? I can post that.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to get to the parents because you can say all the things at school, but your number one role models are you, the parents.
Mhm.
So switched my focus to talking about parents. And then the process sort of evolved out of that on building that foundation of kindness,
Mhm.
getting your soccer team, the drama club, the chess club, basketball team together to do community work. And then there's a big payoff on how you respond kindly in those awkward, sticky situations.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I am today. Wrote it, put it in a book, made it super simple, quick read for parents that are so busy. And I try to emphasize to parents that it's not hard. I'm not saying let's pile more on your plate. I'm saying let's use your everyday activities and flip the narrative on a lot of them.
So good. What is you said your book is already out, correct?
Yes.
What
And
is
it
it?
won an award, so I'm so excited about that.
Yay, that's exciting. What is the book?
The book is Raising Kind Children.
Mm.
So I'll get it over here. And it's just, like I said, it's just kind of a step-by-step process, super easy, using your day-to-day things. But the payoff in the end is huge
Mhm.
because you're going to make it easier for your kids to respond in a kind manner
Mhm.
when they're faced with a conflicting situation.
So this concept for you came, you said in 2018 after a school shooting, which is just, yeah, and of course we're seeing more and more of that. And I would love to just chat on that
Yes.
too. But
Sure.
before that, you have children. And what
Yes.
was raising your children like? Did you always instill this type of parenting where you always talked about being kind and like what was growing up with you said you have two sons, like what was that like for you?
It was interesting. And no, I can say yes, I did things kindly, but it was random.
Hmm.
Now do what I do what I say, not what I did, kind of thing. But um, I'm just saying now I'm much more focused. It's a lifestyle for me, and I'm just asking parents, let the random's great. Let's be intentional.
Hmm.
Let's start the day with how are we going to be kind today?
Mm. It's so good. I love if anyone's watching us on YouTube, you have behind you it says be kind. And I very much am a believer of that, not only with just children, but like human beings. And I feel like since COVID, people are so afraid to smile or to even look at you when you're walking across, like passing paths on a crosswalk, and you're like, good morning. And they just don't even say anything. And you're like, why can't people just be kind anymore?
And that's what I say when people are like, well, where do I start? Number one, smile and say hello to everybody you encounter. And I like to challenge the audience. Take a day this week and say, I'm going to smile and say hi to everybody and see what happens. And because I think people underestimate that a lot. And I have a guy, I knew he worked in a parking garage and he went on vacation for a couple of weeks and came back. And he said his regular parking people said, where have you been? I've had the worst 2 weeks. And he's like, what are you all talking about? He said, your smile and good morning sets my day off on a good note, and I can sail through my day so much easier knowing that you greeted me that way. And he was so cute. He came up to me and he said, you kindness lady, you always told me that it's the simple things and a smile and a hello goes a long way. And he said, I never truly understood that
Hmm.
until they, for my regular customers, for that for me. So yeah, don't underestimate that smile and hello.
There's a crossing guard that made me think of this because I had this thought the other day when I was dropping my son off, and he's the crossing guard. He's been doing it for years. When my daughter was in middle school, now he's there with my son. And every time the kids, he like fist pumps them, and it's like, good morning. And you can just see that like interaction. And I thought to myself the other day, I was like, this might be the only positive interaction some of these kids have. You never know what they're coming home from or, going to school to or whatnot. And I'm like, that could be like the only kind person they see for the day. And like how much that could totally change their day.
And it's huge. And I saw at a school, Hassan Elementary School, uh, when the kids are getting off the bus, or a lot of them are carpool people, so they're getting out of the cars. And that principal, he gives some kids a hug, he gives the high five or the fist bump, and but each and every kid, and there's a lot of kids, and they're coming, so he rates them more or less. If you're going in the school, you have to file by me, and I'm going to greet you. And I remember sitting in the car because I couldn't move. Just how wonderful, and like you said, a lot of kids that might be the only positive interaction they have all day,
Hmm. Which is
which is
so,
sad. And that's why I want to change that.
mhm. And I love that. Um, I want to talk about school shootings for a second and your perception on why do you think that they keep happening? And just like, how do you think as a community we can all kind of like, because I see the same thing. We have been very fortunate that we haven't had any in our area, but obviously watching, it in other areas, and it's so traumatizing. And I always think to myself, because as a mother, I was like, I feel like it has to start at home. I think that, of course, there's so many different dynamics and things that happen, but really what we're doing and how we're raising our child is really what kind of sets the tone to, how they show up or how they go to school. And so I have a lot of thoughts around that. But then also you had mentioned like how we all need to be like inclusive and say hi to everybody and be kind because sometimes it seems to be a lot of these, shooters are people who aren't getting love at home or are a little bit different than the norm or, and sounds like getting bullied and stuff. I would love to hear like your thought on that and how what you're teaching to these parents could really change that dynamic?
Yeah, it's so simple and it goes back to basics. And everybody says, well, I've heard that before. I said, practicing. Are you being intentional? And that it comes back to that intentional kindness. And as parents, are you modeling that behavior? Are you saying hi to all the neighbors? We have a bike trail back here that I walk on. Are you saying hi to everybody you pass on that bike trail? And not everybody's going to say hi back. It's okay. You made the effort. And I do believe, how do you want to be treated?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to be treated? Then treat other people that way. Again, the same simple, basic concepts, but we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think if we're like, there was a school here and we did not have the shooting, but I think we didn't have the shooting because the kid had one friend and he was just kind of unloading on his friend how he was feeling. I think it was middle school. And he said, yeah, I just might bring I might bring a gun to school and just shoot everybody. He goes, I just can't take it anymore. And the kid's like, well, you don't want to do that. So he's trying to be friends. Well, that kid, his friend, went home and told dad, and dad told the principal, and the shooting was stopped. It did not happen. And the kid got the counseling and the help he needed. And the parents got counseling. So when, that one friend made all the difference. And no, the kid that really, it was sad. It was sad because he was not the norm as we speak. But one kid made a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have been so much worse. And I thought, I have tons of stories. I have a nephew, and when he was in middle school, there was a kid in a wheelchair, and he couldn't push the wheelchair and carry the lunch tray. So my nephew went over and said, here, I'll carry that for you. Where do you want to sit? And the kid goes, whatever, I don't know. Well, come sit with us. Come to find out, my nephew is an athlete and most of his friends are athletes. But through conversation and just reaching out to the kid in the wheelchair, that kid knew every sports statistic out there. These kids had, I mean, and he said, yeah, we didn't keep in touch when we got to high school, but he said, yeah, he was a really cool kid, and we're so glad we got to know him. Mm-hmm. Again, if you don't reach out, how do you know you're not going to like that person? Mm-hmm. And I know, especially middle school, it's the worst. It is the worst. What's everybody think? What's everybody think? And I said, let's everybody think kindness. Let's everybody, take that step. And I know some of the schools are really trying to up their kindness quota. And they have, this is an elementary school where the teachers catch the kids being kind. Mm-hmm. And they get, it's like a punch card. And when they get the punch card full of kindness, they get a prize. Mm-hmm. They get something. But that's making it as not that making kindness as natural as breathing. And that's what we want to do. It's reinforcing that habit, that intention. Yeah, it starts out with, you get a prize, but they're going to keep doing it because now it's a habit.
It's a habit.
They've made it as natural as breathing. So they can't get out of that.
Yeah. I actually just had another guest on my podcast, and she has a sister who has disabilities. And one of the things that we had talked about is how the school districts are they're all a little bit different in our area, but the ones that are really being inclusive and allowing kids with special needs into the classrooms and not segregating them and putting them in separate areas or separate parts of the school, or, putting all the special needs kids all together, but really where everyone is, showing kindness and, and getting used to being around people with special needs or people that are a little bit different than them. It lets them interact with them and see that they are just like any other child. And so we had that whole conversation about like how that is so important in the school districts versus, segregating them out and not allowing people to really get to know people for who they are.
Yeah. And same school I was just taught, same elementary school. The kids were off last week. So I took them out to lunch. And my niece and her friends, which was hilarious in and of itself. But they were talking about being ambassadors and buddies. And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Well, we get to be ambassadors this year. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And they said, oh, well, if there's a child with another student with a disability or they need extra help, we get to go around with them through part of the school day and help them. And these girls, 10-year-old girls, were so excited to be able to do that.
Mm.
That's amazing. And we need more of that.
We do. We truly do. Friends, I have such an exciting product that I need to share with you. Are you someone who hates washing their face at night? Yep, that's me. For years, I never wanted to wash my face. And finally, I found a product that actually gets me excited to wash my face every night, and that is Clear Stem. I have tried so many products over the years to find the one that I truly love, the one that makes my skin glow, the one that makes me feel good when I wash it, and the one that gets me excited to want to wash my face. I discovered Clear Stem through another podcaster, and I was like, I got to give this a try. I instantly became obsessed. Some of my favorite products are the hydrating cleanser, which I use every night. It smells delicious. It makes my skin feel so great. Once a week, I use their Vita Scrub, which is an exfoliating cleanser, and that just has these little micro beads in it that just make your face feel so beautiful. I can just feel them get into my pores and really give my face this huge glow. And then one of my other favorite products is the Hydra Berry mask. And once you wash your face, you put a layer of this on your skin and you go to sleep and you wake up and your face feels like butter. I get so many compliments on my skin now. I don't get a lot of breakouts anymore. My face feels like nice and hydrated and bright, and it's all because of the Clear Stem product. What I love about them is that their products are all clean. They're good for your skin, they're good for your body, and they have so many different product lines based on the type of skin you have. So go down in the show notes, click on the link. I'm giving 15% off to anybody who uses my code, and I promise you, once you try this, you are going to be obsessed just as much I am. So again, go down to the show notes, click on the link, receive 15% off, and give Clear Stem a try. I promise you will not regret it. I want to talk about your, in your book, you basically it's for parents to read to, teach kindness in their home. Can you give us a little teaser and a couple maybe takeaways for parents that they could do immediately to help raise kind children?
It starts at home. Mm-hmm. Everything starts at home. And remember, you're the role model. Yeah. And I say, I love my sticky notes. They are great. And you're awesome. You rock on the kids' bathroom mirror or their bedroom door. If they've got the big math test they've been studying all week for and they're stressing out, put a note in the backpack that says, you got this. Just those kind of encouraging things. Do it with your significant other. Note by the coffee mug. Your kids are going to notice. I think that's the key thing. Your kids hear and see everything. I don't care if their headphones are on. They're watching and they can still hear through the noise. I know that. So just those little things and the way you're treating your significant other, that's going to influence them as well in treating other people. Mm-hmm. So I start with the sticky notes, the notes in the backpack for the big test. Notes, now mind you, can't do this after a certain age. They're embarrassed. But you can, up to a certain age, you can stick a note in their lunchbox. Hey, they appreciate you. All of those, it's, again, keep it simple. If you have an inside joke, maybe stick that in there one day. And I can just see the kids smiling. The other thing I like to do is 3 questions. And that's way you can check in as a parent with your kid. And the first question is, what's the best thing that happened to you today? The second question is, what's the thing that wasn't so great today? And the third question is my favorite, what made you laugh? those are the best answers, just let you know, because you're like, really, that happened? Um, but that just allows you to check in
Hmm.
to see really what's going on in their lives. And it's an open-ended question, so they have to say something. But you can do that over the dinner table while you're driving them to every 100 activities they have outside of school. Whatever. Maybe do that a few days a week. So those are my top tips for parents on how to get started. And I would like to offer your audience, I do have 75 acts of kindness. If you don't know where to start, it's number one is smile and hello. And I think the 75th one is plant a tree, be kind to the planet. But there's all that in between. And as a family, you guys can sit down and pick one. We're going to do this week. We're going to do this today. And yeah, get your kids involved. Get them speaking about it.
That's so good. I have a question for you. So, I breathe kindness too. I believe that everyone needs to be kind. It bothers me that people are not kind. But that's one thing that I have always instilled with my kids. And they've always been, they have different school awards that they get for like humanitarian award, and they've all gotten it. And like, so I'm very proud of them because I know that they show up in a way that they should to their peers. But what I struggle with sometimes is when they come home and aren't so kind to the parents. Do you have any advice around that on how we navigate that with them?
Yeah, it's there is also in the book, it's called Practicing the Pause. And that's just taking, your kids coming at you and you're like, take a deep breath. Just stop and take a deep breath. And then say, and then you can go in to say, so I always say, how would you like it if I spoke to you that way? Well, they're going to roll their eyes. I know it. I can see it already. I can see it already.
Yep.
But you can start and just say, gosh, did you have a bad day? Kind of flip it a little bit. Did
Hmm.
you have a bad day today? What was the thing that set you off today? And then kind of go into that. Did something happen that made you laugh today? And then they're going to be looking at you like you're nuts. But at the same time, you're flipping the narrative, and their mind, whatever was triggering them at the moment, heaven forbid you ask them to clean their room or something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to make them stop, and their mind's going to start to kind of flip the other way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. I know somebody else said to, instead of saying like, I don't like the way you treated me, or you, like kind of put the blame on them, saying like, oh,
Yeah.
that really hurt my feelings, and like talking in it as a me of like, this really hurt me, or the way you talked to me like that really, upset me. I've tried that, but sometimes it doesn't work.
It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. And then you can also, um, in the kindness thing, say, hey, let's get the 75 acts of kindness out. Just kind of almost stonewall whatever they were saying. And because both of my boys got mouthy. And I understand. So kind of stonewalling what they were saying and then saying, hey, here's the 75 acts of kindness. Let's pick one. We haven't picked one this week. Hey, sit down with me and do that. And again, it's going to startle them enough that their brain's going to kind of, oh, maybe. Okay.
That's so true. I was actually just telling somebody the other day, I'm like, I'd rather my kids go to school and be kind to their peers and their community and, their teachers and things like that. And I'd rather them, if they are going to be unkind, that it's to me and not to, their peers. So I try to remind myself of that sometimes. But you did say before we hit record that it does get better on the other side because you have
It does get,
adult humans now that are children.
yes, I love, and yeah, it is fun because then you can be more friends with them. Right now, you do have to parent. And some days are better than others.
Yeah, and it's so interesting you were talking about social media because I've my daughter is now on Instagram, and so
Mhm.
I now have to not watch what I post, but I've definitely approached what I post a little bit differently now because now, she sees it, and obviously most of my work is my podcast and kind things and stuff, but it's just interesting because you were talking about how when you're like posting something negative, your kids are seeing that, and it is so
Mhm.
true.
That is so
Of
true.
they are watching and they hear you, they see what you're doing, and so I do have to be a little bit like, okay, I'm gonna post this, but like remember who your eyes are.
Mhm.
And all her friends follow me too. So I'm like, okay, now I
Oh,
really
gee.
have to like mind my P's and
Now
Q's.
you've had the other parents going, what did she post it now?
So besides the book, what other work are you doing to like promote kindness? Like, do you go into the school districts? Do you go like
Yeah,
what is the work that you're doing in the community?
I try to keep it focused on parents, but I actually have spoken at corporations
Hmm.
before because in their team building sessions, little, Mr. Jones and this, they are not getting along and we want to, kind of put this out there. So I have done that. But my main focus is parents. So I'll do the PTAs can invite me into the schools to speak to parents, any parenting group. I do go out and speak. And I have lots and lots of stories and suggestions and things that people enjoy.
I love that.
But yeah, mostly parenting groups, PTAs have invited me in to speak. Uh, you name it, I'll do
Do you do it
it.
virtually? Like, could people?
We can do it. I have done virtually. I love in person because then, yeah, that's easier to interact. But I've definitely done more in person. But I have done online as well. It works for people better.
I love that because I feel like every community needs you. They need that like person that is leading the community in a positive way. And I again like I don't know what happened. COVID just took that all away from everybody, and it's hard to find kind people anymore.
Well, and I think we're still recovering 5 years later. We're
Yeah,
still recovering from that, which is again sad. And I know was just starting out during COVID too, and yeah, so I came up with all sorts of crazy ideas of what you could do. And I feel for the high schoolers that missed out on their graduations and all those parties and things they normally do.
yeah, that's so true. And the political climate is definitely not helping anybody be kind to each other. I feel like everyone's just kind of like on edge right now, but it's at the same time, I'm like, we can only control what's happening in our home, in our area, and that we just have to continue to be who we are as humans and continue through.
Yeah, and that's what I said, just focus on your corner of the world.
Yep.
And then we're making those ripples of kindness. And if each person is focusing on those corners, those ripples are going to merge together and create a wave of kindness that's going to wash across this country. We just have to be more intentional toward it.
So true. You said you have tons of stories. I would love for you to like give us one more story. You had a good one, the one with the wheelchair. I think that one was super special. But I
Yeah.
think it's stories like that that like really resonate with people of it's those simple things to make someone feel good.
Yeah, right. I will tell you, everyone tells me this is their favorite story. And this was early on in my journey in kindness. I went to lunch with a friend and we were sitting there looking at the menu. They were busy. And the server comes over and says, what do you want? And I'm like, God, oh, geez. We had a couple questions about the menu. I don't know. I was told to come over and take your order. What do you want? My friend and I are looking at each other going, oh, this is not going to be. We placed our order. We received our food. It was fine. But I don't think she ever came over and refilled a water or coffee or anything. And then at the end of the meal, she comes over and slams the bill on the table. And that it was a wow. It was a wow. Because I don't think I've ever been treated before or since this badly. And I my friend and I are looking at each other and they're like, she's like, I'm gonna call the manager over. This is ridiculous.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, yeah, we have every right. We have every right to call the manager over. But we decided not to. We paid the bill, left a normal tip, and on the receipt, I put a smiley face and wrote, you are designed to shine. Gathered our stuff out and left. She chased us into the parking lot and, and tears. Thank you. I really needed to hear that today. Spun on her heel and ran back inside. Now we had no idea. And this was, like I said, early on in my journey, I didn't know what I was doing. I just felt called to choose kindness over being right. Because we did, we had every right. And I chose kindness. And that changed her, obviously changed her entire day. And to this day, my friend and I still giggle. And we're like, the people that came after us have no idea that they dodged a bullet with her because she would treat other people differently after that. But yeah, personal pain is as unique as a fingerprint, and you never know what somebody's going through.
Yep.
So always be kind. And I think servers, people, I call them invisible people. And that's servers, even though they're in your face, we don't see them as people for some reason. Cafeteria workers, custodians, security guards, all people, garbage collectors, they all serve a very needed purpose in our society, but we don't see them as people. So I always say, be kind to those people. If the UPS driver isn't around, then I'm not getting my package. Or even during COVID, the garbage collectors still worked. Our garbage did not sit there uncollected. So just things to think about, and be kind to those servers.
Yeah. I'm in hospitality, so yes, I agree completely. I'm very nice to my servers all of the time because I've been there. But it's true, and I think that certain people, you never know when someone's having a bad day, or they're going through something really personal, or they just got really bad news, and sometimes just you saying hi or making them feel good could totally change their whole day, could change their life, really.
Yeah. Well, it is, and I'm thinking she wasn't right at office. Something happened to her before she left her house. Had something happened last week or even last month, and it was just triggered today. That's what you have to remember.
You never know. I love this conversation. Like I said, I feel like there needs to be more of you in the world. So hopefully some people feel inspired by this. But can you leave, is there anything that we missed or anything like you want to leave the listeners with today?
Yes, just that there is a payoff, and how we respond to each other using your words. Words are so important too. What did you say to somebody? And you can flip that. I flip the narrative with the server. You can do that with your words as well. And you can use humor. If you can do one-liners when there's a tense situation, go for it. And sometimes you just have to walk away. And that's hard. But
yes, it is.
Have to walk away.
Especially with our kids.
It's not saying it's not, it's hard. But yeah, because one more, I was another story, which we've all seen, but I like to bring it up. It's the Phillies. And I forget, the Phillies and the Dolphins baseball. No, not Dolphins, but Philly. There was a Philly baseball game, and the guy got the ball for his son. 20 people dove for the ball, and the guy came up with it and gave it to his son. And the woman swore it was hers, and she wasn't being kind. And the guy gave the ball back to her, and it all settled down. And there's been two stories on that, but some people say he should have stood his ground. I said, but he's standing there with two kids and this woman who is clearly unhinged, and it was a baseball. Was it worth it to fight over baseball?
Yep.
And I think that's the lesson that those kids learned, is it's not worth it. It wasn't worth it over a baseball.
Yeah.
And I think people a lot of times get into conflicting situations over a baseball.
It's so true. Like there's more to life than being upset about little things. Yeah. Or it's a parking spot, or like whatever. Oh, it's you didn't turn on the light when you were supposed to, and you're like, it's not the end of the world, people.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm in the events industry, so I say a lot to
You-
people because everyone gets worked up about certain things like it's just a very high stressed job. And I'm like, we're not saving lives. We're literally putting on an event for people to eat and drink. Why are we so like angst about things, And it's sometimes you just have to let those little things go and just not get worked up about it.
Yep, you do.
Yeah. This was such a beautiful conversation. I'm so glad I get to start my Monday off with it because I always feel that my guests come into my life and on my podcast at certain times when we need it. So, thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for, making impact one person at a time. And if we can all just do that, I know we'll be in a very much better space, but there's a lot of work to be done. So, one person at a time, right?
That's right. That's right. One ripple at a time. And thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, and we'll put all your information in. People can find you, find where they buy your book. I definitely want to buy it. I love having somebody on and getting to buy their book after and like seeing the work that they're doing. So we'll make sure that everybody can find you.